China denounces U.S. cyber theft charges. China has denounced charges brought by the U.S. against 5 Army officers accused of economic cyber espionage. Beijing said it had never engaged or participated in cyber theft and that the charges would damage cooperation between the two countries. China has summoned the U.S. ambassador to Beijing over the incident, the state news agency Xinhua reports. U.S. prosecutors say the officers stole trade secrets and internal documents from 5 companies and a labor union. But the Chinese Foreign Ministry urged Washington to immediately correct its mistakes and withdraw the charges. Spokesman Qin Gang, quoted by Xinhua news agency, said the charges were purely ungrounded and with ulterior purpose. He said China had decided to suspend activities of the China-US Cyber Working Group. The group was set up in April. Given the lack of sincerity on the part of the U.S. to solve issues related to cybersecurity through dialogue and cooperation, China has decided to suspend activities of the China-US Cyber Working Group, Mr. Qin said. China has always insisted that it is itself a victim of cyber theft, wiretapping and surveillance activities by the U.S. Mr. Qin added, "We once again strongly urge the U.S. side to make a clear explanation of what it has done and immediately stop such kind of activities." Chinese Assistant Foreign Minister Zhen Ziguang lodged a solemn representation with U.S. Ambassador Max Baucus on Monday night, Xinhua reported. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder said a grand jury had laid hacking charges against the Chinese nationals, the first against known state actors for infiltrating U.S. commercial targets by cyber means. He identified the alleged victims as Westinghouse Electric, U.S. Steel, Alcoa Inc., Allegheny Technologies, SolarWorld and the U.S. Steel Workers Union. The alleged hacking appears to have been conducted for no reason other than to advantage state-owned companies and other interests in China, at the expense of businesses here in the United States, Mr. Holder said. In the indictment brought in the Western District of Pennsylvania, the heart of the U.S. steel industry, the U.S. named Wang Dong, Sun Kai-liang, Wen Xinyu, Huang Zhenyu, and Gu Chunyue, all officers in Unit 61398 of the Chinese People's Liberation Army PLA, as the alleged conspirators. FBI officials said the hacking in the years 2006-14 caused significant losses at the companies and that there were likely many more victims. John Carlin, head of the Justice Department's National Security Division, said, "While the men and women of our American businesses spent their business days innovating, creating, and developing strategies to compete in the global marketplace, these members of Unit 61398 spent their business days in Shanghai stealing the fruits of our labor." For example, Mr. Carlin said that as SolarWorld, a maker of solar panels and accessories, was rapidly losing market share to cheaply priced Chinese competitors, the hackers were stealing documents on pricing strategy from them. While Westinghouse was negotiating a deal with a Chinese state-owned firm to build nuclear power plants, Unit 61398 stole secret designs for plant components, he said. In the past, when we brought concerns such as these to Chinese government officials, they responded by publicly challenging us to provide hard evidence of their hacking that could stand up in court, Mr. Carlin said. Last year, cyber defense company Mandiant published a report on a Chinese military unit the firm said was behind the vast majority of significant attacks on American federal agencies and companies. FBI officials said the hacking between 2006 to 14 caused significant losses at the companies and that there were likely to be many more victims. In March, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel said the Pentagon planned to more than triple its cybersecurity capabilities in the next few years to defend against such internet attacks. U.S. President Barack Obama has called cyber attacks a real threat to U.S. security and its economy.